Welcome to the Nourish You Podcast, where we question the traditional model of dieting and nutrition and focus on choice, fun, and health for the whole mind, body, and spirit. I'm Jana Maurer, a non-traditional registered dietitian and well-being expert, and I want to challenge you to take 2% of your day today, listen to this episode, and make this your health win for the day. Pop in your earbuds, strap on your walking shoes, or pour a big glass of wine, whatever you need for today, and tune out the world as much as you can for the next 30 minutes, and let's fill up your cup. Welcome back to the Nourish You Podcast. Today, I am doing a solo episode where I want to talk about this word that has just been lingering in my mind, and it keeps coming back to me. So I always say, like, if you can't let go of something, it's always God talking to you. And so it is your job to tune in and listen and understand. And so over the last couple of months, I've been sharing a little bit more about this on social media, but over the last couple of months, I have been doing some mindset coaching, particularly in the area of money and my money mindset, my money relationship, because the reality is that we have relationships to everything around us. We have a relationship, or typically we think of relationships as it relates to our partners or our spouses or our boyfriends, girlfriends. We think of it in relation to our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, whatnot. But we can oftentimes forget about our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with our food, our relationship with our money, our relationship with the things that are around us that make up our entire being. And so through this coaching, well, let me step back a little bit. I've really felt this just overall desire to step into the next level or a new level. I felt the desire to really change my energy state because I was doing the same thing on repeat every single day, and it was super, super boring to me. So I have definitely loved being able to work from home, but there are some aspects that are just really, really boring. And so I found myself doing the same old thing. I felt myself feeling stuck and in a rut. And anytime that happens, I have reflected for myself that is an indication that I need to change something up. I need to spice it up. So my coaching clients will oftentimes hear me say, you are the spice of your own life. So if we need to change something up, you have that ability to do so. So I knew that I needed to get into a different level, a different energy state. And so I had been following this coach. Actually, I had met her in a mastermind group that I had done, and I've been following her for several years. I don't know if you can resonate with this, but I'm not a stalker, but I don't easily trust people. I trust animals, like they're my favorite, but people, I don't easily trust people. And so I watch people for a long time to see, like, are they consistent? Are they real? Are they authentic? I just watch them because, well, frankly, I have trust issues. So I watch people for a long time before I usually engage with them. And I've been, I knew her. We had been in masterminds together. I have followed her journey, and she's just such an amazing example of the power of a female, of a woman in the entrepreneurial space. And I finally decided to join two of her programs. I said, all right, I'm in. And so I've joined two of her programs, and actually maybe a third one. I think maybe it might be three now. But two of the latter ones have been really, really heavily focused on our money relationship and what that actually looks like. What are some things that might be holding you back? Whatnot. Anyways, so I'm not ready to share some of my aha moments or just my realizations, because it's actually been very, very overwhelming to dive into my relationship with money. My relationship with money is not pretty. It has to do with a lot of just generational trauma, and a lot of really unpretty things that are part of my family story. So I'm not ready to share that just yet. But one of the words that came to me in one of my journaling sessions, and it's been so interesting. So I am typically I don't like to sit still. I don't like to journal. When I first was, when I was in counseling, my therapist said, you should really do some meditation, or you should really sit and be with yourself. And I thought, no, sorry. You apparently don't know how I am and who I am. That's just not me. Well, okay, I kind of have to eat my words, because now 4 years later, this is how stubborn I am, and this is how resistant this whole idea of trauma I am. Mind you, I also told my counselor that I didn't want to label it as trauma, and she said, okay, we'll go with that. What would you like to label it? And I had no answer for her at all. And so anyways, this is just part of my personality. And so now I really feel like, okay, I am ready to lean into this. I'm ready to understand this, because from my own experience, I am repeating patterns, and I'm literally moving, but landing in the same spot. And so now I'm just annoyed with myself. And anytime I get annoyed with myself, I decide, okay, maybe now I should change. And so I'm doing the hard stuff, which is, I laugh because this is what I encourage my coaching clients to do. I want you to know that if you're a coaching client tuning in, or if you've ever thought about working with me, know that I recommend things based on what I would also be willing to do. I never like to tell my coaching clients something that I would not be willing or have not done, because I just don't think that makes it real. I don't think it makes it authentic. So I'm never going to go tell someone to do a cold plunge because I'm frankly so afraid of it. I've never done it. And anyways, so I just don't believe in, telling people things to do that you have never done yourself. I think that that's just really inauthentic. With that being said, the word that keeps coming to mind for me during my journaling sessions as it relates to releasing, as it relates to money, is the word releasing or release. And so this has been something that has been powerful for me on many different levels, because something that was shared was over 95% of what we do every single day is in our unconscious mind. We aren't it's been programmed into us. We aren't actively thinking about it from our conscious mind. It has been wired into us from when we were babies, and we just keep repeating it, whether it be our thoughts or our habits or our behaviors or what we think that what is available to us. And that just blew me away. And as I've been journaling, it really has been, in what way can I start shifting that subconscious aspect into releasing what has been given to me and stepping into a new reality, a new truth, a new being, a new embodiment that I actually am forming and creating and aware of and want to move into. And so this word release has just been sticking with me so much as it relates to money. But then I got to thinking, okay, so this is one aspect, this is one relationship. But when we really look at all of our relationships, oftentimes when we feel stuck, when we feel out of control, when we feel fear or guilt or judgment or whatever else you want to label it that doesn't really feel good for us, it's because we are holding on to a story, an expectation that we need to release and let go of. And so this really has just some great divine timing, because I had really been thinking about my next offer. So my one-on-one coaching program, as of today's airing date, is currently full. I'm at capacity, which means that I open up my group coaching program. And for probably the last 4 months, my group coaching program, which used to be a Healthy Body Bootcamp, just did not feel right for me. I liked some of the aspects that were talked about, but I still felt like I was missing so many different aspects. I still felt like I was keeping to the surface level. I still felt like I wasn't serving women at my highest capacity, and I wanted to change things. So I went away. I went to the ocean because that's where I clear my mind. That's where I disconnect. And I really did a half-assed job of doing that. So like every quarter, one of my mentors suggested that I get away, am able to reconnect, build back my energy levels, really see if like I'm in alignment. And I did that-ish. So I was there and I was actually taking coaching calls and I was actually doing meetings. And I was like, oh, like in between this, I'll go out, get some fresh air, do a walk, whatever. And then I'll come back and that will suffice. Well, literally, I half baked it. I really didn't dive into it. And even with that, I got on a call with one of the women that I work with, not from a coaching aspect. She actually helps me with like different writing techniques and whatnot. And I said, okay, I want to change everything about my program. Here's what I want to do. I called it Unleashed and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And then I got back home and I got scared and I got afraid and I had like vulnerability hangover because I was so scared to talk about the things that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to share with women, because it relied on my own vulnerability to be able to talk about that. And so in this current program that I'm in, and I might get this completely wrong, but basically the notion is that you can only be as successful as you know yourself. And I have really been very, very reserved, very scared, very intimidated to really sit with myself, to know myself, to ask these questions, to have understanding, because frankly, that's not what I was taught. I grew up in a family where you do, and you don't have time to think. You only have time to do. So it was just like boom, 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 boom. And I'm really good at doing. I'm really good at producing. I'm really good at coaching in high volumes. And I'm really good in staying in my masculine, but I am not good at stepping into that vulnerability, in that quiet time, in that peaceful time, in my feminine. I hate to cry, probably cry once a month, usually around my period. And then I'm like, oh my God, I feel so horrible. Like, this is so stupid. And I judge myself for it. And yet there's so much unearthing. There's so much connection. There's so much understanding of like my true feelings during that time. And I encourage my coaching clients, like, if you need to release emotion, that is one of the greatest ways to do it. And you're not weak. You're not weak. You are strong, even if you show emotion. So needless to say, this word release keeps coming back. So I decided that I was going to change up my group program again. So fast forward, I kind of tried, not really. Again, I half-assed it, of saying, okay, I'm bringing back Healthy Body Bootcamp. And I had all this writing material. I had all this stuff, like it was all lined up, and I still didn't feel like I was passionate about it. I still didn't desire to talk about it. I didn't desire to teach. I didn't desire anything with it. It was just there, and it is what it was. And is that even a thing? It is what it was. Anyways, so I was like, no, I'm not doing this again. Like, it doesn't feel in alignment with me. I don't need to do this. I'm not going to put something out that I don't wholeheartedly, back my name with, and that I feel like I can impact women, that I can change their lives, that I can be of service to them. So I took another step back, and I decided, again, through these journaling prompts, that I wanted to name it Release. Because as I thought about my relationship with money, it also kept coming up, my relationship with my body, my relationship with my self-worth, my relationship with my value, my relationship with guilt and shame and fear. These were all the same things, the same themes and things that were coming up with my relationship with fear, as have come up with my relationship with nutrition, food, and my body. And so as some of you know, if you've been around for a while, like, I got into nutrition because I had really bad stomach issues. I was a chronic dieter. I was yo-yo dieting. At my highest weight, I was like just shy of 200 pounds. And at my highest weight, I was restricting the most I ever had. And then I was binging the most I ever had. I was not dealing with my emotions. I was not talking about food or shame or guilt. I was not asking for help. I mean, just all these things. And so I come from a place where I know how it feels. I 100% understand how it feels to literally like hate your body, to not feel comfortable in your body, to feel like you are a foreign object in your own body. I know how it feels to have guilt and shame and fear around the eating experience. I know all these things because I lived all these things. And because of that, I know that I understand my coaching clients. I understand where they may be. I understand, what it feels like. And I understand also how we can heal that and how we can move forward. And so one of the biggest things is we have to release. We have to release and surrender to the old stories. We just have to release so many different things. So I wrote down a couple of things that I wanted to talk about a little bit as far as what we need to release to really gain health, to gain, a healthy body weight, if that's a focus for you, to gain self-confidence, to gain worthiness and value and all these things that we're looking for, that oftentimes we go to food or a scale to tell us like, I am worthy, I have value if you hit a certain number, which in and of itself is just insane. But that's what we've been taught. Like I always think to myself, how does every woman in the world know that in the morning they should get up and go to the scale? Hey everyone, it's Jana, and I wanted to interrupt your content real quick to tell you about something that I've been using every single day, OWYN protein drink. I've been using it for the last year now and absolutely love this product. It's been something that's been so helpful to meet my protein needs, to meet my calorie needs, and to meet my overall nutrition and performance goals. I am super picky when it comes to recommending different products or supplements because I take a whole foods-based approach. So I highly encourage you to check this out for yourself, see if you like it. I do have a discount code for you. You can click the link in the show notes below. At checkout, you can put JanaM20 to get 20% off and check it out for yourself. Now back to the episode. How does every woman know that? But every woman doesn't know how to negotiate their own wages at work. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, how did we all learn that? How do we all learn that in the morning we get up, we criticize ourselves, we look in the mirror and say, oh dear God, I'm aging. And then we go to the scale to say what? Like to make us feel better? Like, I just don't get how that has transcribed. And so I feel so passionate about changing that narrative because 1, I don't want to live in that. No, thank you. I'm good. 2, I don't want other women to live in that. And 3, I don't want the next generation of women to live in that. Like, we're good. we have lived in that for so long, and it's done absolute, it's shit. That's what it is. Pardon my cuss words. I think, I've said this before, it's better out than in. I did this when I was running my marathon. I cussed galore. And sometimes, cuss words just, they make it feel so much more impactful. So I'm a fan. So, okay, like I said, I have several things that I've written out that I feel like we need to release as women or as men, because this also shows up for men. This is not just something that's isolated for women, that we need to release on our journey to reclaiming our control with food, reclaiming our relationship with our body, and actually seeing our body for its entirety. So number 1, releasing control of food. So often I hear this of, I just need better self-control, or just need more discipline, or I just need to control my food more. Here's the thing. If we are looking at from the perspective of creating a relationship, which you have a relationship with yourself and you have a relationship with your food, whether you want to believe it or not, totally different story, but you do. Anytime we're in a relationship that we have to control, 1, it's usually not a healthy relationship. And 2, usually the trust factor is gone, which doesn't make it a conducive relationship for anything. It makes it a conducive relationship for anxiety. and like obsessiveness, but it doesn't actually make it a healthy relationship. So our goal with food is actually not to feel this sense of, well, you will feel control, but it's not going to come from actually controlling all the different aspects, from tracking all the different macros, from saying, I will never eat this food again. That's not the control we're looking for. The control we're looking for is you know that you can put food in its place. Because here's the thing. I always have this visual when I'm really like struggling or I just want to like eat all the foods. It's like, I literally think of myself as, okay, I'm the person that controls all of this. There is no food in the world, unless you eat insects, I guess. But there's no food in the world that is literally going to push the fridge door open, walk over to you, climb up your body, and literally get into your mouth. Like, there's no food. There's absolutely no food that will do that. So in no way does food have control over this situation. It literally can't make you do anything. It can't arm wrestle you and win. It can't literally like take over your body. Like, it literally is stagnant. It doesn't move. It's there. So everything that from a control factor, everything comes from within inside you, which means you have control over it. Interesting. Everything that you are looking for as it relates to control with food comes from within inside you. It has nothing to do with the food item. So that's number one. We need to release the idea that we need to elicit control over food. Number two is we need to release the guilt, shame, fear, frustration, confusion with food. So there is no morality with food. You're not good if you eat kale and you're not bad if you eat a Snickers. Food is neutral. Food has no morality. It has no judgment to it. We are the ones that place the judgment on it. And frankly, we place the judgment based on where we think we are in comparison to that food item. So I'll give this example. Like, I always love to share like with athletes or like with Michael Phelps. Like, he had to eat like over, I forget, it's like 4,000 to 5,000 calories. And he would eat pizzas and whatnot or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And look at his body, his physique. In no way was that food demonized because he looked a certain way. Versus if you put someone on there that may be heavier or in a larger body and you say they ate pizza, now you say, oh, that's probably bad for them. What was the difference? It was pizza. There is no difference. So we are the ones that give it the judgment. We are the ones that give it the guilt, the shame, the fear. It's not actually the food item. If we kept the food item the same and we applied it to different people, it oftentimes changes. That's where I like to say, with nutrition, it's all relative because it's all relative depending and based on you. So we need to take away the good versus bad, and we just need to say it is food. We need to say what it is. It's pizza, it's burgers, it's French fries, it's kale. That's all it is. Name it for its real name, not whether it's good or bad. Number three, we need to release the lies with food and really gain the truth with it. So often when I'm working with my coaching clients is we're releasing what has been marketed to us. Because so often we have received marketing advice or we've received propaganda, essentially, when it comes to food that's not actually rooted in science, that's not actually rooted in women's health. And that's a whole other thing because most of the diets that are put out there are not studied on women. Isn't that interesting? Most of the diets that are put out there are never studied on women, and yet they're heavily marketed to us. That should be a question mark. So we really need to release the lies and the confusion and really step into understanding how food impacts your body, how food makes you feel, and how you would like to create a meal plan that actually does work for you, not based on what someone else has told you to consume without even knowing you. So literally we are buying these products and we're buying these systems and you were never consulted. I mean, how rude is that? You're purchasing these things and you were never consulted on them. They didn't ask you a single question. They don't know you at all. That's just rude. So we really need to step away from those lies and that confusion. Then we need to release our old thoughts and our behaviors. So I always like to identify the behavior versus identifying the person. So often, we internalize all these things as this is you. Well, no, that is your behavior. You can change behaviors once we identify them. And so often we are focused only on the food, that we don't actually step into the curiosity part, getting curious about what is your actual behavior with food. And curiosity is the first step in my coaching program. So I use a process called the CARE model, and the C stands for curiosity. We want to get curious about what works for you, what doesn't work for you. What behaviors are you engaging in that are supportive or not supportive? What do you actually like? What has worked? What has not worked? Until we answer these questions, we don't know much more about you. And so then we're just throwing things at the wall and hoping that we stick. Versus if we take that pause and we really start to dive in and understand you. So I always like to say we're creating a plan that works for your lifestyle, your personality, and also your culture. When we understand those three and we get those in alignment, you have created a game plan that will work for you. Number 5, we want to release this idea that the number on the scale is what gives you your worth and your value, and that the number on the scale is the way that we define your health. So frankly, I have worked with anorexics that are extremely low weight and they are very unhealthy. And I've worked with people that are, say, in an elevated BMI, or they have, 5 or 10 more pounds to lose, however you want to define them. And the individual that's struggling with anorexia is way more unhealthy. So weight is really, again, relative, and it doesn't tell us the entirety of the picture. It tells us a very, very small portion of the picture. Now, in my coaching program, I still use weight as an indicator. I don't think that it is a horrible thing to weigh yourself and keep track of your weight and know what that is. Not at all. I think that it's part of a healthy process of taking care of yourself. But when we get to the extreme of having to weigh ourselves every single morning, first thing that we do is we check in with the scale versus checking in with ourselves or our spirit or our heart or our loved one. Then we need to look at it. So it is part of the equation, but it's not the entirety of the equation. And it certainly cannot tell you your worth or your value in any way. And the last one that I just want to speak on for today's episode is we need to release the pressure that weight is really, that weight is our way to success. And what I mean by that is so often I hear women share with me that they have not stepped into what they truly want to do with their life because they are so afraid of the judgment that they will receive because of their body size. So I have, and this was something that I struggle with a lot. So when I did my first mastermind for my business, for anyone that doesn't know, a mastermind is essentially a group of individuals that are in the same space that are working towards similar goals. In my case, it was a group of entrepreneurs that were dietitians or nutrition coaches or trainers that were doing online businesses. And we get together and support each other, talk business, talk beliefs, talk through mindset struggles, whatnot. And so in this mastermind, I shared that I have not really shown myself because I was afraid of my weight and because I was so afraid of people judging me because I was not so thin. So through undergrad, I struggled a lot with my weight. And it was so ingrained into us that in order to be a dietitian, you need to look a certain way. And part of me understands that, like, because I'll just speak for myself. I don't know how you feel about this, but I do want to work with someone that is, following their own belief patterns, right? Like, so I want to follow someone that, like, what they preach is not just for other people to consume, it's also for their own life. And so I understand it from that principle. There's also this other aspect that it is so interesting to me that particularly for us women, we are heavily judged on if our life is a success based on how we look. So, and we do that. We all do this. So don't say you don't do this. So if you're afraid of being judged, you likely have judged other people. Let's just put that out there. Judgment is not solely for those that fear they're being judged. So if you fear you're being judged in a certain area, it's because you have judged someone in that area. Let's just keep it real. So I have certainly judged women in a certain way based on how they have looked. And because I have done that, I was judging myself and I was keeping myself removed. I was keeping myself from being seen. I did not want to put myself out there for fear of comments of people like, who does she think she is? She's saying to, eat her veggies, but look at how much she weighs. And so, I mean, it was just this like whole thing. And I've heard this shared with me time and time again. And it doesn't have to be in dietetics, but I've heard women share, I didn't go back to school because I was so self-conscious about my weight. I didn't apply for the position because I was so self-conscious about my weight. I didn't do fill in the blank. I didn't purchase clothes that fit me. I didn't put my makeup on. I didn't do my hair. I didn't go out. I didn't meet with people. I didn't do all these things because I was so afraid of people judging me, my weight. I didn't feel comfortable or confident in my body. I didn't like my body. And so because I didn't like my body, I didn't do, again, you fill in the blank. So I really want to encourage releasing the pressure that weight equals everything, and that when you hit a certain weight means that you're successful and that you can now do that certain thing. Because here's the reality. There is nothing holding you back from doing that thing. There is nothing holding you back from going and getting a new wardrobe. There's nothing holding you back from putting on makeup and doing your hair. There's nothing holding you back from going out and meeting with friends that absolutely love you. There is nothing. Your weight is not holding you back. You are holding you back. So let's remove that pressure and let's really speak to the reality and the truth of where you are, how you're truly holding yourself back. And let's dive into that. Let's talk about that. And that's something that I help support my coaching clients on. And that's something that I want to encourage more and more women to really release. So those were 6 different things. All of these topics are what I'm going to be talking about in my group coaching program, Release. It starts June 27th. It is an 8-week program. I am going to be going through all the different things that I've shared. So we're going to be talking about like releasing those old habits, releasing the guilt and shame, releasing the lies, releasing the old thoughts. I'm going to help teach you and show you. I'm not going to tell you how to eat. I'm going to teach you how to eat. So I don't like to tell people what to eat. I like to teach them how to eat. Because frankly, most of you know what to eat. Like, you know that fruits and veggies are probably good for you. But there's something else that's there that's like the reservation. So I like to teach people how to eat for their own bodies. So that's what I'm going to be doing in my group program. I'm going to be teaching you how to eat. I'm going to be giving you the nutrition science of why it's important that you eat your carbs. Yes, we want to eat carbs. And yes, you can lose weight while eating carbs. We're going to be talking about meal planning and prepping because we still need to do those things. So anytime we put time and attention into something, we are more likely to succeed with it. So we still need to give time to food if that is something that we want to be successful with. I'm going to be exploring metabolism and hormones, emotional eating, our hunger scales, and intuitive eating process. We're going to talk about the whole body health and wellness aspect of how so many other things in your behaviors throughout your lifestyle impact your weight. So for example, your sleeping patterns, that actually impacts your weight. That also impacts your hunger levels. So there's all these other areas. And so I take a really broad approach. We're going to talk about calming the stomach bloat and then also diving into body image and how we can really continue to build that confidence and build that body identity that really resonates with you. So if that's something that you're interested in, please feel free I'll put a link in the notes below. You can click on that and you can just let me know that you're in. And I would love to get you started in this group coaching program. Again, it's going to be starting June 27th. So we'd love to have you. All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day-to-day to tune in. If you love today's content, leave me a review letting me know exactly what you liked best. And remember to share my podcast with others to join the Nourish You community. If you want more great content like this between episodes, I encourage you to join my mailing list. You can click the link below in the show notes or check out my website at www.healthwins.org, and let's stay in touch. Until next time, I'm Jana. Talk soon.